Hello everyone, Happy New Year! Woohoo! 2020 or year 2020. Um, this video was is just gonna be a whole bunch of vocabulary, right? No grammar, nothing whatsoever. That's gonna change or confuse your mind or whatever, right? So yay, right? But this video is in the intermediate series, right? Because you need to have some prior knowledge of Cebuano to understand these words and vocabulary, right? So this is going to be like a vocabulary builder video. Um, and these are just words that I compiled when I was traveling around the Philippines and speaking to people and speakers. And I thought, hey, these vocabulary words that these speakers are using, that we're using when we're talking, could be helpful for you. And I'm hoping that they can be helpful for you to use so you can better express and talk to yourself, or not talk to yourself, but talk to other people and communicate. So I'm really hoping that's the goal for these vocabulary builders and these vocabulary videos, right? Because there are so many floating videos out there that teach Cebuano and vocabulary, right? But I mean, none of them can go way, way, way in depth, right? So this one goes in a little bit in depth. That's why I'm putting it in the intermediate series. So you intermediate learners, please have some a solid foundation of some vocabulary, right? I know my channels focus a lot on grammar and maybe some explanations and fun facts and tidbits, but I want to cover some things that it's lacking, and some of the things it's lacking is just vocabulary. So these excess vocabularies, and I have a ton of vocabulary for you. So buckle up, take notes. Especially those of you who are serious learners, I want you to start taking notes, write this down, okay? And start using it when you're speaking to other Cebuano language speakers, because I promise you that this will help you. It will help you in the long run, okay? You're gonna thank me for this. All right, so without waiting, the first word we have is kit kit, right? Kit kit is our first word, means to nibble or to bite off something, right? So think of an example where you have a mouse, and a mouse is just nibbling on cheese or whatever, right? Or a squirrel that's nibbling on peanuts, right? That verb is just to nibble or to bite piece by piece, like is kit kit. You can also use it to bite off something. For example, if you have a cucumber, right, and you bit off of a cucumber, or if you have a piece of bread and you bit off of that piece of bread or a sandwich and it left teeth marks and someone else can see it, they can say, oh, kinsa nagbit-bit sa on whatever, right? Who took a bite off of whatever? Kinsa nagbit-bit, right? Or nakit-kit, sorry, not bit-bit. Kinsa nakit-kit. Yeah, I know it's multilingual problems in the brain when you're trying to find vocabulary in one language into another, but other languages jumped in, so that's another story. Anyway, so yeah, kit-kit means to bite or nibble off something, right? Um, Halay or kit-kit can also mean like if you want to share, let's say I want to share siopao, right? Siopao, and I want to give it to you, and then you just took a bite off of it, kit-kit you can use kit-kit that way, right? Halay. So halay means to hang, but it's in a way to hang clothes on a clothesline, or it's not just clothes, but you can hang pretty much anything on a clothesline to dry or leave out or whatever, right? Whether it's towels, bed sheets, clothing, whatever, right? Or you can even hang, I don't know, paper or sheet metal, I don't know, just anything that you can just hang on a line and leave out, right? That's called halay. That specific verb is halay. Now, how does this verb differ from bitay? So we learned what bitay means. It means to hang, but it's in a way where you're hanging and where you're suspended in air, right? So something is just hanging in air, whether it's a ghost that or a spirit that's floating in air, right? And it's just floating in air, ooh, right? Or if you commit suicide and hang yourself on a rope and your body is just hanging in air. I know that's a really bad example, or a terrible example, but it's the same concept. Something is just hanging or floating in air. That's bitay. Halay means to hang, but it's to hang in a way where you're hanging something on a line, okay? Okay, moving on, we have sibog. Now, sibog means to scoot over, all right? This is very common when you're going to be riding jeepneys, right? Sibog, right? You'll hear jeepney drivers say, sibog, sibogi, sibogi, palihog, sibogi, right? Scoot over, please, scoot, 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 right? They're using that sibog that E command form, the imperative form, right? To scoot over, because they're telling you to scoot over so other people or other objects can come in, right? That's why they use that E ending, because there's a benefit involved, right? There's a transference of a location. And I will talk more about grammar in future videos, but these next few videos right now are just going to be focused on vocabulary building. So I want you to have a decent foundation on vocabulary. So sibog means to scoot over where you're sitting. You can scoot over on a bench. You can scoot over on a bed to make room. You can scoot over on a chair to share with somebody. Yeah, you're scooting over to make that room. That is sibog. The next one we have is irog, right? Irog, and it's not irog, right? So it's r. You have to have that rhotic r trill sound. Irog, and irog means to move, right? Just to move something, right? I can move a bottle from one place, right? And that's it. Or just move it aside, right? Boom. How does this differ from balhin, right? Balhin or halin. It comes from the verb halin, root word. Balhin means to move, but it means to move something or someone or yourself from place to place. So you're from one place to, or moving from one place to another. That's balhin. For example, if you're moving from one house to another, you moved houses. Balhin would be the correct verb. But irog is just to move in general. You're moving objects. That's all. Okay? How good? How good means to rub or smoothen out something by rubbing it or husking it or I guess like rubbing something to smoothen something, right? So like think of strings or just strings or pieces of thread or something or any rope that you're smoothing out or rubbing against something else that you're smoothing out. You can even use it to describe like shining your shoes with something, like, you know, you're rubbing, you're moving something to smoothen out that shoe or something like that, right? To clean, I guess, to polish it, right? That's hagod, is to smoothen or rub something on something to make it smooth, right? Bantal, right? Bantal means to wrap or bundle something with like a cloth or a rope. For example, if I'm gonna do laundry, right, and I have a lot of clothes and cloth, right? But I don't want to carry them one by one. So I'm going to use a bigger cloth to wrap everything, right? And then I'm going to tie them inside that big cloth, the clothes, right? And I'm going to carry everything, right? So I wrapped everything inside that big cloth. So all my clothes and laundry and wash, it's in that big cloth. That's to wrap or bundle everything together so you can just move it without going back and forth, right? And there's actually another verb for that, which I'll get to, right? So bundle, or to wrap with like a cloth or a rope, right? You're bundling something, you're wrapping something up. And then moving things from back and forth is actually hakot, right? You're taking something from somewhere and you're constantly moving it back. So if you have, for example, I don't have it written down, but the verb is hakot. Hakot, that's ha-a-ka-o-ta, right? Hakot. And it means just to move something back and forth or keep moving something back and forth. So if you're, let's say you're in one room and you have, I don't know, you have pieces of clothes there and you're going to transfer to another room. So you're transferring each piece of clothing one by one from one room to the other. You're just transferring them just one by one. And you're going back and forth to transfer. That verb is called hakot, right? Hakot. It has a t at the end, right? Hakot. Okay, anyway, moving on. Hukad is the next verb, or next word, right? And hukad means to take something out of like a container and place it on something else, right? Or place it on, I don't know, another location, right? So you're taking something out of somewhere and placing it something. So most common examples would be like food, right? Because you can put food in containers and you're placing it somewhere else. So hukad, like you can, especially with rice, right? You open up that rice cooker, you're taking or scooping out rice and you're putting it on a plate or a container or something. That's called hukad. Okay, hukad. And hukad is like usually used for like foods and stuff, but I think there are other definitions or ways you can use hukad. Actually, to be honest, I think there are other ways you can use all these words too, but these are the common examples that I am familiar with and I will share with you that I know, okay? But that's hukad. So you can even take hukad, you can even use hukad to take out food from, let's say, a pot or a wok, right, or some sort of food that you were cooking, right, to take it out. And you can put it in a dish, right? So that's called hukad. You're placing it on a piece of plate. So you cooked something and you're placing it on a piece of plate or something, like hukad. The next word is kuhit, right? Kuhit means to poke someone to get their attention with the finger. So I can just, you know, like tap you on a full, I can just hook you or tap you on a shoulder or the side of your body to get your attention. That specific verb is called kuhit. English doesn't have that. Actually, to be honest, most of these English doesn't even have. So we have specific verbs for specific actions that we do in Cebuano, which is the beauty about this language, is because Cebuano can express things that English or other languages cannot express, right? So this is one very lucky thing that Cebuano has. So if you're learning this language, this is one beautiful thing about it. Anyway, kuhit means to poke someone to get their attention. Like I'm tapping you, I'm poking you, I'm hooking you with my fingers. It has to be the fingers that you're doing to get someone's attention, right? The next we have is balus, right? Balus means to retaliate or to pay back or to revenge. This is very much used when two people are arguing and they're fighting, right? They're fighting back and forth, arguing, right? Because someone's not going to take someone else's bullshit, pardon my French, but they're not going to take someone else's shit, and they're going to be like, well, I'm gonna retaliate, I'm gonna have my revenge, and I'm gonna pay back whatever was going on, right? So these two people are just arguing back and forth, screaming, yelling at each other, probably punching, fighting, right? Balos. Here is the example I wanted to show you, because we talked about these conjugations. Mag binalusay, right? The in infix has something to do with that specific action, that in infix, right? We already know what mag is, we know mag, and then we know what in does, right? It has something to do or to relate with that action. Binalusay. And we already know there has to be two people doing it. It's mutual, right? It's a mutual action. So I can be used. Remember, other verbs can be like istoryahay, right? Istoryahay ta, which means like let's talk to each other back and forth. Like it's mutual. Someone's talking to someone else, someone's talking to someone else. So yeah, that's why we have two people here who are, I guess, retaliating each other, revenging each other, and there's the I ending, binalusay, right? Okay, next one we have the difference among abre, buka, and nga, okay, or nga. Abre is a borrowed Spanish word meaning open, like you can open a door, you can open a can, you can open, I don't know, just open whatever, right? Or open the gate, something like that, right? Buka, on the other hand, means to open, but it's more like opening from things that were closed that are naturally just opening. So for example, buka, I can use buka as like a clam shell or some sort of oyster that's opening. Okay, that's buka, right? That's a perfect example of buka, is when you have a shell or a clam or an oyster that's opening their shell when you boil it. Nagbuka. Okay, nagbuka na ang tahong, right? The I get what is the wait, not the clam, or the mussel was opening. Yeah, the mussels, right? Buka. You can also use buka to describe things that are open. So like a jar that was left open because nobody put the cap or the top back in. So buka can be used to describe that jar. It's left open, right? Buka. Nga, on the other hand, only refers to body parts like the mouth, especially the mouth. So when you're opening your mouth wide, when you're gaping, this is the best word, gaping. A gaping mouth. When a mouth is gaping, it's open wide. You can describe it as nga. Nanganga ang buka, ang ba niya. So his mouth was gaping, right? To gape, right, in the mouth. I guess you can also use this to when you're taking a shit, right? When you're defecating, like your butthole is just opening. I guess you can use it that way, but mostly this refers to the mouth, right? So those all mean open, but open in different ways. So watch out, okay? Or like buka, like something was just opening, like I don't know, I can't think of any examples, but something that was closed and then it's opening. That's buka, it's opened, right? The next one is hago. Hago means to be excessively exhausted, right? Now, how is this different from kapoy? Remember, we know that kapoy means to be tired, right? But if you're excessively tired and if you're really exhausted because you put so much effort and exerted so much effort into something and you're constantly like, panting, you can use that to describe hago. Right, kapoy is just a lighter version of hago. Hago is more severe tiredness. So kapoy means to be tired, but hago means to be really tired or exhausted, right? Right. This is the more severe form of kapoy, in other words, right? Hago, like you see somebody, they just ran a marathon, and they're like, and they're just panting, and they're so exhausted because they took so much energy and time and exhausted themselves, right? That's called hago, right? Versus kapoy, yeah, sure, they're kapoy, you can describe them as kapoy, but hago would be a better term for it. The gaidai is next. Now, the gaidai is used to describe a slow flow of a liquid or a fluid. The examples, the perfect examples I have here would be like tears that are running down your eyes. When you cry, it's just slowly flowing down your face, right? That tear drop. Or it's sweat, beads of sweat that are just slowly rolling down your head, like beads of sweat, or condensation on a mirror or a glass or on a bottle or something, right? Condensation. You have all these trickly, like slow fluid motion, right? You can see it slowly running down. That's the gaidai. Okay, the gaidai, we can use that to describe slow flow of fluid. I guess you can also use this to describe like viscous fluid, like molasses or syrup, or things that are very viscous and sticky. It's just slowly moving down, but it's more better for like smaller pieces or um, smaller fluid instead of big fluids like syrup, right? So the gaidai, the small fluid, right? So you can say, oh, when someone is crying, right? To cry is hilak, right? And you can use dagaydai to describe the tears, ang luha. Nagdagayday ang luha niya inighuman siya og hilak, right? Nagdagayday ang luha niya inighuman siya og hilak, right? The tears were slowly flowing down once she stopped crying, or he stopped crying, right? And this is why, again, this is in the intermediate series, because you need to have knowledge of previous vocabulary. We are building on these vocabularies, okay? This is why it's called a vocabulary builder. Even though it's just random words, we're building on what you know, okay? And I cannot stress that enough, my intermediate learners. Okay, hunag, right? Hunag means to collapse or to topple down. So if the perfect example for this would be in an earthquake. There were buildings that were collapsed and toppled down, right? Buildings that collapsed and fell down. That's called hunag. Naghunag, right? Naghunag ang balay ni Manoy kay naglinog og I don't know, kusog, right? So Manoy's house collapsed because it was such a strong earthquake, or there was a strong earthquake, right? Hunag, it means to collapse, like a building to be demolished and stuff like that, right? And the last one on here is the unay. It means something very truthful, deeply and sincere. Most of the times this is used for love, like, you know, oh my love, like gugma, for example. You can use the unay to describe gugma, which is love. And that's when you can really truthfully, especially when people want to serenade and start dating and courting you, they just want to say, oh, my love for you is just so truthfully deep and sincere and everything, and just so pure, right? So tiunay is that best word to describe something that sincere, is very deep, right? Tiunay can also be used for other descriptions, but tiunay I hear more for like something like lovey-dovey stuff, so to speak, right? So again, this is just the first out of many videos, and I hope, again, this can help you describe, or help you describe your Cebuano in a way, right? There's going to be more to come, so stay tuned.